What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Listen, let's get into some things. All right. How's everybody doing? I hope everybody's having a great weekend. Um, so look, y'all know I'm doing these retro reviews of these housewives, right? The real housewives of New Jersey. Now, you know, it's a group of y'all watching it. They're not getting big numbers, but I'm enjoying it. And I told you guys, I'm at the point now where I'm gonna start doing stuff that I enjoy doing. Okay. Because either the numbers are gonna come or they not, but at least I'm enjoying it. But I am enjoying going back down memory lane with these ladies. Now, let's get into I finished up season 2. My reunion review for season 2, that'll probably post tomorrow. But I watched the first episode of season 3 last night. And it's very interesting to see these episodes that we have talked about for years, right? I appreciate that a lot of you guys are leaving comments, but not spoilers. Thank you. But last night I came home and I was like, let me start on season 3. I went out last night. I came home a little late. So I said, well, let me just watch this episode before I go to bed. Baby, I was so heated last night after watching that episode. I wanted to talk about it. I said, I might need to do this one live because there's a lot going on. And I'm only one episode in. So for those of you who have been watching it for years or you remember it or whatever, remember, I only watched the first episode. But baby, I had so much to say. So let me say hi to the people and then we're going to get into this. What's up, Phil? Yeah, Phil told me to just go straight to season 3, but I was like, if I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna go back to the beginning. Hey, Lemon Kush. Hey, Mr. Willie Brown. Mwah. Don't call me Dominique. Call me Charlie. Hey, love. Widgets and budgets and weights. How you doing? I'm Cola. Don't always comment, but I've been enjoying these throwbacks. Thank you. Hey, Miss Diva, Queen Diva. What's up, Jonathan? Hey, Cross Country Cruiser. So listen, y'all. Danielle is gone. The first thing we find out, baby, is that Danielle has moved out of their area. Now, I'm not sure if she sold the house or she finally had to leave because the rumors and all of that, whatever happened. But Danielle is gone. So we got rid of Danielle. Dina quit at the end of the, mid-season. So they had to bring some fresh blood in. Here is where we clearly see the shift in the focus of the Real Housewives of New Jersey with production. This show started as a vehicle for the Manzos. We had Dina, we had Caroline, and we had Jacqueline. This was really about the Manzos. That sort of fell apart with Dina quitting. And let's just be clear, Caroline, I like Caroline, but her family's not that interesting when we talk about reality TV. They're a really nice family that have a really nice thing going on, but they can't carry the show. Not this type of a show. So you clearly see where the thought process is of production going into season 3. You bring in Teresa's brother and sister-in-law, who she has some pre-existing drama with. And then you bring her cousin in, who, okay, child. I'm like, we ain't never seen Teresa talk about these people. They never made a cameo. They never, nothing. So you clearly know that this is a total setup. And it is a way you see that production is positioning Teresa to be the star at this point. Even though Caroline is still in the middle position on the, on the thumbnail and all that good stuff. Teresa, they're jockeying her at this point to be the star. They had a spinoff. Caroline had a spinoff called Manzo's. Oh, why did they think that was a good idea? They should have known that wasn't going to work. So we start this episode off with Teresa. Joe has a pizzeria, so he's running his pizzeria. Teresa has her book, And at this point, she's talking about the bankruptcy and how devastating it was and how hard of a year it's been and how basically she's been working her butt off to help pay these bills. We see her doing a book signing. And she talks about, how, certain people have been there for her through this and other people maybe not so much. Here's the thing, that the elephant in the room, and again, I have the foresight of having 2020 vision on this, right? Because I know what happened there. But the elephant in the room in this moment is the bankruptcy, honestly, is the least of their issues right now. There are criminal charges pending. Now, I haven't really, like, my review for the reunion hasn't really posted, but this reunion is when Teresa knocked y'all know who I'm talking about, child, Andy over. And what made Teresa flip out the way she did is that Danielle said something about her nephew. And I didn't rewind it because it just wasn't that important to me. But it was something along the effects of, have you seen your nephew? Something dealing with her nephew. And when Teresa realized that Danielle made a dig at her about her nephew, that's when Teresa lost it. So that tells you that Danielle had been talking to somebody in Teresa's family. I'm not saying it was Melissa. I'm not saying it was her brother, but somebody letting Danielle know that it was there it is. Did you acknowledge your nephew? Thank you, Budgets. Did you acknowledge your nephew? Right. So that lets you know that that this is stuff that was already going on and that Danielle was talking. So I'm going to get back to that in a second. Let me go ahead and knock these Manzos out the way because, again, the two things I want to talk about is the Ashley thing and then, of course, the Teresa thing. So we're going to start with the Manzos. We're going to go through Ashley, and then we're going to end on the Teresa situation. Because Danielle and Melissa have been in communication. I believe it. 100% believe that. So let me say this. We see that Chris and Albie are moving out into their own apartment. They're moving to New York. They didn't tell Carolyn. It was sort of a surprise for her. Albie didn't get into law school, so he's sort of switching focus. He did finish the police academy, but I'm just not sure what they moving to New York to do. I don't know. I guess I'm assuming that Albie has a job. I don't know. Because even 15 years ago, or however long ago this was, New York was expensive. So for them to be moving out of that nice mansion where their mama probably let them do whatever the hell they want to do at this point into their own apartment, it's nothing wrong with that because, at some point you got to spread your wings and fly. But, and then later on we found out that Chris isn't going to be working at the brownstone anymore. So Chris don't even have a job. But I'm like, so who paying the rent? With what money? I mean, granted, the door is always open if he wants to come back. I mean, he can always come back to the brownstone, but he wants to find his own way, but he don't even know what that looks like. So I find that to be very interesting. But again, I feel like because the boys are doing the right things, Caroline their rent gonna be paid. They're gonna be fine, right? They'll be all right. There'll be money in their bank account on the first of the month, and they'll be good. At this point, I don't have no issue with Carolyn and her family. I like Carolyn. I was ready to not like her. That first episode, I was like, oh, she's a pistol. And I really did think I wasn't going to like her, right? But I like Carolyn. That don't mean I always like what she does or says, but I like her. And I like her family. I think he's a cool dad. I think the kids are pretty good. I mean, they're kids and they're going to do what they do, but I like it. I like how she's down for her kids no matter what. Like when Chris said he wanted to open up a strip club, she was like, all right, just make sure it's the best damn strip club. Like, it's not illegal. Ain't nothing illegal about a gentleman's club. Just make sure it's not a raunchy one. Make sure it's nice and it's classy. Make sure it's somewhere that, you wouldn't be embarrassed to show your mama. I was here for that. I really was here for that. Okay. Now let's get into this Ashley situation. So Ashley now has an internship at some sort of PR firm in New York. And we start off seeing Jacqueline visiting her at work. The first thing this woman said out her mouth to Jacqueline was, Ashley's doing, we really enjoy Ashley, but we need Ashley to come to work every day. We need Ashley to come to work every day. And then it went on to even say being on time. So Ashley's response is, I'm trying, but it's hard. Now, Jacqueline said, I know it's hard, but I did it. She said, I did it while raising a child. I worked 2 or 3 jobs if that's what I had to do to make sure that we ate and make sure there was food on the table and things had to be taken care of. Like, that's what I had to do. So you'll figure it out. She said, if you got to get a second job, because she was talking about how expensive it is to commute back and forth. Because she was like, well, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. And so basically, her solution to her not being able to get to work on time is for them to get her an apartment in New York. Now, mind you, the difference is Chris and Albie went off and got their own apartment and told Carolyn about it after the fact. Now, how they paying the rent ain't my business, but clearly they had enough for first month's, last month's rent, and they had credit because they got approved for the damn apartment. They already had their keys. Okay, so that's clearly they've already got that taken care of. Ashley can't get to work on time, and her response is, I want y'all to get me an apartment in New York so I don't have to worry about the commute back and forth to New Jersey because it's expensive. It's expensive if you want to drive your car into the city every day. Yeah. So then Ashley starts doing this bullshit ass crying because now she's embarrassed because she don't like what her mother said. And her boss said, look, you may not like your mom's delivery, but what your mom said isn't wrong. And I don't even think that Jacqueline's delivery was bad. Honestly, to be honest with you, I feel like her delivery was a little bit too soft. Because for real, her delivery really should have been, well, Ashley, listen. Because see, if it would have been me, I would have laid the whole thing out. I said, well, Ashley, you remember 3 years ago when I was trying to tell you to get your act together because you were barely getting ready to graduate from high school? And remember how I had to go up to the high school and basically beg them to let you stay in school because you technically were supposed to get kicked out? And I begged them and I made a deal with them for you to be able to stay in that school and actually graduate. And then remember when you graduated and you told me you were going to take a year off from college because you wanted to just work and do some things. And I told you how hard that was going to be and how that probably wasn't the best decision. And then remember how you moved out of the house because you didn't want to follow the rules that we gave you. And then a couple of months later, you had to come back because you realized that the real world wasn't as cute as you thought it was. And then remember how I told you to stay the hell away from Danielle, but you insisted on going back and forth with that woman on social media and then assaulted her because, yes, it was assault. And now you have this internship that I probably fucking got you anyway, and you can't even get here on time. You have a vehicle and you can't get here on time, and your response to not being able to get there on time isn't, maybe I should get up a little earlier. Maybe I should go to sleep a little earlier at night. Maybe I should, rearrange my priorities. No, your solution was, well, let me move a little bit closer to the job so I can get there on time. Ma'am, excuse me? And this is a free damn job. Like, this is an internship. That's the only reason why you're getting away with that is because they really ain't even paying you. If this were a job where somebody was paying you to be there for 40 hours a week, guess what, ma'am? They wouldn't have been so nice about that conversation. You'd have been in HR. So you sitting there crying, turning on the waterworks, acting like Jacqueline is such a horrible mom, when honestly, I feel like she's too damn nice. Thank you, Montrez. Not only was Ashley lazy. She was ungrateful. She's disrespectful. She's a spoiled ass brat. Like all of the above. And, you know, I get it. I understand that thin line between wanting to be a good mom and all of that stuff versus doing too much. Like, I get the line that Jacqueline was walking. But baby, Carolyn, I used to love how Carolyn would really nicely, in a nice way, be telling Jacqueline, you need to put your foot in her ass. She used to say it real nice, but essentially that's what she was telling Jacqueline. Girl, you need to put your foot in her ass. You need to put your foot in her ass. So then they go and meet Chris for lunch. Ashley's still crying, and Jacqueline is trying to explain to Chris what the issue is. And Ashley done told Chris, I want to move into the city. And Chris was like, so getting up earlier isn't an option? Well, it's expensive. The commute is very expensive. He was like, I know the commute is expensive, but again, this is the real world. And so Chris starts talking to Ashley and says, I tell you what, if you really want to stick with this, I'll pay for your commute, but you got to get there on time. You have to go every day. Baby, Jacqueline got up from that table and was mad as hell. She said, you know what? Clearly, y'all don't respect my opinion. Clearly, y'all don't care about what I have to say. So you know what? I'm going to let you talk to her, and I'm going to be out. And y'all let me know when it's time to eat. Okay? Y'all call me when it's time to come and eat. I said, yes, Jacqueline, put your foot down. Finally show us you mad. But you know what? Phil said Chris wasn't having it. And Phil, I'm gonna drop the link if you got time. I'm gonna drop the link and you can come up, boo. And then I'm gonna drop the link for y'all. Because again, I know y'all know more than I do, but I'm only one episode in. But I'm just reviewing what I see, y'all. But here's my thing with Chris. Chris be going back and forth. Like when Chris bought her that damn car just because she successfully finished summer school. Sir, she wasn't supposed to be in summer school. That's the part we missing. She ain't supposed to be in summer school. Period. She's supposed to be in summer school. I'm just, and maybe because I deal with kids and I understand, I'm not saying that you never, when kids are trying to do better, because kids do make mistakes. I get it. But I don't know. It frustrates me. And even at the reunion, Jacqueline was like, well, we took Ashley's car. She didn't have a car. And I'm like, well, what the hell? She was driving a Range Rover all season. Because I mentioned it in one of my reviews. I was like, where's the Jeep? Why is she driving a Range Rover? She upgraded in the midst of her disrespect. She upgraded. In the midst of all that she went through, she went from a Jeep, which was a fully loaded, very nice Jeep, to a freaking Range Rover. And it was a different color from the one that Jacqueline drives. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, that was just Jacqueline's car. No, it was a whole different color. So all of that, she didn't have a car. When, Jacqueline? You mean to tell me y'all only let her drive that car to film? I don't believe that. I don't believe it. She was driving something every day. So Ashley has been irritating me since the first episode of this show, going back to season 1, episode 1. Ashley has been irritating me because I've really been wanting to jump through the screen and just beat her ass. And I don't mean like an adult. I mean like spank her. I mean like some good old fashioned, where is the back of the brush, belt. I know everybody don't ascribe to that. I'm fine. That's fine. You don't ascribe to whooping your child. Well, not whooping, spanking, because I don't mean whooping. But you may not ascribe to that, but baby, I do. Call me Miss Sealy. When Harpo said, what I'm going to do with Miss Sophia, and Sealy said, beat her. That's what I'm saying to Jacqueline. Beat her. And since at this point, she too old for you to beat, then what you need to do, you got to give her some hard lessons. When she decided she was going to Watusi her ass out that house because she didn't want to follow y'all rules, y'all should have cut her ass the hell off then. And I don't mean don't let her call. I don't mean don't be a mom to her. I don't mean none of that. But what I mean is all of that coming by the house to do your laundry. Hell nah. Go to the laundromat. If you took your ass somewhere that didn't have a washer and dryer, then guess what? They got the laundromat. They take quarters. And I know they got laundromats in New Jersey. Okay? It's a nice place to launder money. I'm just saying. So I know they got them in New Jersey. Okay? And then when the money might have been funny, I don't know what you're gonna do. I ain't putting nothing in your bank account. I'm not paying you you're not getting no allowance. I'm not giving you gas money. None of that. She wouldn't have been able to go back and forth with Danielle on social media because her ass probably wouldn't have had no damn phone with a Wi-Fi account to it. Because remember, that was back in the day. It wasn't like they are to now. Anyway, I'm done. I'm over her. I'm sick of her. But when she sat there and the first thing, I knew we was in trouble. And the first thing that came out that lady's mouth was, we really like Ashley around her, but we really need her to come to work every day. Can you imagine going to pick your daughter up, your 19-year-old daughter, because she want to keep reminding you how grown she is and how she's 19 and she's grown. Your grown ass daughter picking her up to take her out to lunch, and her boss says to you, it would be nice if she came to work every day. The fuck? And that's why I know Jacqueline had something to do with her getting that job, because that's the only reason, in my opinion, that's the only reason why that woman even felt comfortable enough to even speak on that. Because why would she be speaking on Jacqueline, on old girl coming back and forth to work? You know what I'm saying? Why would she be talking to Jacqueline about her? That's how I know that Jacqueline had something to do with it, child. Okay, number one Eagle fan, be safe. What they said they took the car, Phil. They said that Ashley, they took her car from her. But again, they might have took the Jeep, but her ass was driving a Range Rover. So, I'm sorry. That's like you took the Lexus, but then I started driving the Benz. Well, what the hell? Exactly, Lauren. You better go on to the laundromat. When I moved back to DC after college, I stayed in North Carolina for a couple of years. But after I moved home, my first apartment that I moved into after coming back home to DC was literally, I could have walked to that apartment from my parents' house to my apartment. I probably could have walked there. Maybe if I was walking, it was a 20-minute walk. In my car, it was literally a 5-minute drive. And guess what I did when it was time to do laundry? I took my ass to the laundromat across the street. I did not carry my laundry, even though it was right up the hill. And my parents wouldn't have really tripped off of that, because it wasn't like I left on bad terms or nothing like that. But I just didn't even think about it. I went to the laundromat. Anyway. I'm done with Miss Ashley. I just had to get that off my chest. I've been so sick of her. Now let's get to this Teresa Melissa situation. And remember, I need everybody in the chat to remember, I have only seen the first episode. So I'm only speaking from episode 1 of season 3. This camera. I'm only speaking of episode 1 of season 3. And my observations from looking at the last 3 seasons of the Real Housewives of New Jersey. So my opinion is going to be a little bit all over the place, because I see both sides of this coin. Okay. So we meet Melissa, and from the very beginning, you can again, looking back on it now with the 2020 vision that I have, or hindsight, what they say, hindsight is 2020. So looking back on it with the hindsight that I have, I'm looking at Melissa's introduction, and it came off very much, I'm in competition with Teresa Giudice. It is clear to me that her and Joe were very much about. So let me say this. I believe everything that Teresa said, not everything that Teresa said. Let me rewind. I believe what Teresa said about the fact that Melissa and Joe have been trying to get on the show. I absolutely believe that. I believe when Teresa says that she was sort of blindsided by production because she didn't know they were coming on the show. And Carlos King even verified that Teresa did not know beforehand. She knew before they started filming, but she didn't know before they got on the show. I believe that, Teresa. Teresa, I 100% believe that Melissa and Joe were angling to get on this show. I 100% believe that Melissa felt like she was in competition with you for whatever reason. I 100% believe that you, Teresa and her husband, Joe and Melissa, have been playing Keeping Up with the Joneses their whole marriage. I absolutely believe that. And I believe that Melissa and Joe are loving the camera from the first scene when he's kissing on her feet and all. It is all for show. It is all for the camera. All for show. And here's something I don't understand. And again, as I'll finish, I'm gonna keep watching it. They had a beautiful home. Why do these people? I've never been that person, y'all. I like my house. Now I do want to move. My house. I have a townhouse. I do want to move into a single family only because I just want a single family. I don't want to be connected to nobody. But I don't understand these people who have these beautiful 5, 6, 7 bedroom homes over, all of this square footage and a pool and a beautiful front yard and a 3-car garage. Why do y'all have to keep moving? It don't make sense to me. Maybe because I just don't have that kind of money, but I just don't get it. Like, I'm not that person. There are certain things that if I were to get rich tomorrow, yes, I would buy a really nice house in a really nice neighborhood that has certain amenities. There are certain things that if I could buy my dream house or have a house built, yes, there are certain things that I would absolutely have to have. I would absolutely have to have a pool. I would have to have a pool, right? I don't want to go down the list, but there's certain things. However, I'm done. After I get it, I'm done. Now I might buy me a beach house. Like, I know they have houses down on the shore. I'd probably buy me a beach house somewhere. But as far as every 4 or 5 years moving into a bigger house, having another house built, it's just stupid to me. But again, that's just me and my, po ass. I guess one day when I'm rich, I'll understand. But moving on. Moving on. That's like people who have 5 cars. Like, why? And I'm not saying that I wouldn't have two. Like, again, if I were to get rich, I probably would have 2 vehicles because I would probably have my everyday car, my, 4-door sedan, everyday car. And then I probably would have something like either like a convertible, something sporty. No, I wouldn't do a convertible because I wouldn't want to. I've ridden in convertibles and they're cute and all until your hair is always flying and you gotta. Convertibles are cute for a minute, but I wouldn't want a convertible. But I probably would have some sort of like sports car. I've never been an SUV person, so I'd have no interest in having a everyday SUV. But I probably would have about 2 cars. But 5 and 6 cars, that just never would be me. But anyway, let me get back to these people. So say this, and again, I'm a condo apartment person. I pay the HOA, so I don't have to shovel snow, manicure grass. I get 25 security with the elevator plus. It's less house to maintain and keep clean. I definitely can see that. Like I know people who are condo apartment people. I'm not. I don't. I have no interest in that. Like I know people like when I look at people who live in penthouses and stuff like that. That's cool, you know, and that's why we. That's why it makes the world go round. I'm not interested in that. But I don't want to live in a city either. And I'm not saying you have to. That ain't what I'm saying. But I'm not a city person. Like where I grew up in Washington D.C., but I didn't grow up in like the thick of the city. Like if D.C. had a suburb, I was in the suburbs. If the D.C. don't really have no suburbs, but if I had the suburb, you know, we had a suburb. Anyway, now I would buy property in D.C. because I love D.C. and I do want to live in D.C. Now I would do that. I would have my house out here because it's just more land, and I would be able to build a house to my specs, like what I want. But I would definitely own a piece of property in the city. And that probably would be like a penthouse or a condo. Now that would probably be that. Because I ain't trying to fight over no parking and all of that. So yeah, if I bought a piece of land in the city, yeah, I would definitely do that. In the city, I would. Anyway, y'all got me way left. Let me get back to these people. Okay. But I said all that to say Melissa's house was gorgeous. That house was beautiful. And I loved it. I love that house. Here's what I'm going to say. The Teresa Melissa situation from the word go was unfair to the viewers. From the word go. And here's why. There is way too much history there for us as the viewers to really, in my opinion, take a side. And I'm trying to figure out a way to explain what I'm saying. As I was watching this episode, I went back and forth. But the one thing I kept coming back to was there's so much here that we don't know. There is so much here that we don't know. And there's so many layers to it. And it goes so deep that it's so much here we don't know. So we see Teresa talking to Jacqueline, basically saying, me and my brother used to be really tight. We were really close. And basically, since he's been married, we're not close as we used to be. And I just wish it would go back. And Melissa, you know, I tried to reach out to Melissa. I tried to be assistant to Melissa, and she just wasn't interested in that. So then I stopped trying as hard. Melissa, on the other hand, is making it seem like Teresa is the worst thing since, you know, sliced bread, and that Teresa has treated her like dirt, and how horrible of a person is. And to be honest with you, Melissa came off very unlikable to me in this first episode. Very unlikable. She's being catty. She has her sisters being catty. It's just she was very unlikable in this whole episode. Very unlikable. Now, do I believe Teresa's whole version of the story? No, I don't believe either one of them's whole version of the story, because I think both of them are telling the story from their perspective. And I don't think that I think the truth is somewhere in the middle. You know, the truth is somewhere in the middle. So I don't believe either one of them are telling us the whole truth. And that's why I say it's not fair to us as viewers. So we have this christening, right? The Gorga's son, Melissa and Joe's son is being christened, the youngest one. And again, because I'm seeing what's going on, as the viewer, I'm seeing what's going on from both sides. Again, Melissa comes off very unlikable. So you have Melissa getting her hair and makeup done. Her and her sisters are sitting there drinking, literally before they get ready to go into the church to christen the baby. They're sitting there having these drinks, and they are the whole conversation is about Teresa. And now again, I know we're making a show. I know production told them to do it. I get that part of it. But they were so nasty. They were so catty. Like it was so, I was like, wow. Like your child is getting ready to be christened, yet your whole focus is Teresa, 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 Teresa. And your sisters are like, oh yeah, well, we're your sisters. You don't have to worry about that. And I'm just like, so then on the other hand, we have Teresa literally running around the house, with the 4 kids, trying to get them dressed, trying to get them ready. She's got Joe being a big ass baby. He don't want to go. So he's doing everything in his power not to go. She's trying to get herself together. You have employed Teresa's hairdresser. You knew that was Teresa's hairdresser. Of all the hairdressers in the damn state of New Jersey, on the day of the christening, when you know Teresa's going to want to do hair and makeup, you employ Teresa's hairdresser to do your hair. Now, here's my issue. The hairdresser should have said no. The hairdresser should have said no. So Teresa is waiting to get her hair done while she's trying to get the kids dressed. She's got she's mad at her hairdresser when she shows up, and I understand her irritation. Again, you got Joe in the damn garage because he don't really want to go, talking about something. He got the damn runs and his stomach is toe up. She had to let Gia go to her gymnastics competition. She got the coach to come pick Gia up to take Gia to her gymnastics competition. And then somebody brought Gia home, got Gia dressed because Gia was at the damn the reception, the party afterwards. And so again, from where I'm sitting, I feel sorry for Teresa because from where I'm sitting, she is doing the best she can to get this whole family of 5 dressed and out the door. And I know for all of you mothers who have sometimes with 1 kid, but well, all of you mothers who have 4 kids, all under the age of 10, and a husband who really ain't trying to go, you know what I mean? Like I was watching this and I was like, I feel Teresa. Like I was feeling bad for Teresa. She gets all of this together. Joe doesn't go, so she leaves Joe at the house with the baby. She runs into the church, and yes, she's late. She is absolutely late. And the first thing that Melissa says is, of course Teresa was late. Of course Teresa's not here. You got a church full of people and you worried about Teresa being there? All them people. And you worried about Teresa being there? I was like, see, I wasn't feeling Melissa, y'all. Now, don't get me wrong. Y'all know, but I wasn't really feeling Melissa at all. Because I was like, I saw what Teresa was going through. Like, Teresa wasn't just sitting on the couch eating bonbons going, I don't even feel like going. I don't want to do this. Like, that's not, she really was trying to get it together. She was really trying to get them babies, to get that family up out of there. So then she gets to the church. And again, like I said, she goes up, she speaks to everybody. She's trying to, after the christening, she goes back home, picks up Joe, picks up the baby, and maybe that's when she picked up Gia. I don't know. Then she gets to the reception with the whole family, and what's the first thing they could say? Oh, Joe conveniently made it to the reception. He couldn't come to the church. Why y'all you claim you don't even like Joe, so why you give a fuck that he was there? Why do you care that he didn't show up? And again, Joe is taking shots at the bar. He asked Teresa's husband, come on, have a shot with me. And the man said, hey, auntie, what's up? Hey, auntie, I caught that video you did on Asante and old girl, green wig girl. Whoo, that was deep, baby. That was deep. Y'all, that's my auntie. That's my DC homegirl. We need to get together and do lunch or something. That's my DC homegirl right there. If y'all not subscribed to us, y'all need to go and check Auntie's advice out if y'all not subscribed. Okay. Now, let's be clear. We know that Joe didn't want to be there. We know that Joe was on that bull hockey. But again, you asked that man to take a shot with you, and his response to you was, I haven't eaten anything. I'm good. Here go Melissa. I mean, Joe was trying to be nice and he was extending an olive branch and he asked him, his brother in law, to have a shot with him and he just blew him off. He just blew him off. And I was like, that's not quite what I saw. I saw that man respond to you. I saw him say, no, I haven't eaten anything. Now, granted, was it some bullshit? Probably. But it ain't like he just walked past you. You having a private meet and greet on November the 18th and you on the list? Yes. Okay, I gotta take a pause for the cause. Y'all know I always big up people when it's time to big up people. Auntie was having a meet and greet. I don't even know if she remembers this or not. Auntie was having a meet and greet before the Panorama, right? And I had registered for the meet and greet and all that good stuff. And she had to cancel it. She had to cancel it. And because, of course, we went on lockdown and everything. And I just feel like she handled that so well. She was very professional with how she did everything and letting everybody know, when we were going through all of that and we had to, when the world was shutting down and all that kind of stuff. And the way she handled it was just so A1 and so classy. And so, yeah, I respect that. But so I'm looking forward to that. I'm gonna put it on my calendar as soon as I get off of here, so I'll have it blocked off. And when I get the details, I'll lock it in. Because I definitely will be there. And looking forward to it. So that's what I'm saying. And y'all know how I feel when I gotta defend people that I don't like. I don't like Teresa's husband. I don't. But in that moment, Teresa's husband wasn't being an asshole. He told you he hadn't eaten nothing and he didn't want to have no shot. The fact that you were at the bar getting pissy ass drunk, okay? The fact that you were at the bar getting pissy ass drunk is an issue for me, but that ain't my business. Okay, moving on. So we get to the reception. Teresa really don't want to go through all of that. Okay. Callie Girl said, I think production brought on Joe and Melissa to try to get a brother-sister interaction drama for the show, but did not understand the vitality of their relationship. Now she has destroyed it all. Yeah, I agree. It definitely was. It was, and that's what I was saying. Callie Girl, you weren't here at the beginning, but I agree with you 100%. And I said, you can clearly see the production was shifting their focus for season 3 from the Manzos being the stars to Teresa Giudice being the star. Even though Carolyn Manzo was still in that center position in the thumbnail and everything, but it was clear from the first episode where production was swinging this show. It was clear that they were moving away from the Manzos, and by bringing on Kathy and Melissa, it was clear what they were doing. I ain't even talked about Kathy. Let me talk about this Kathy woman. And again, one episode in, Miss Kathy, you ain't there to do nothing but stir up trouble. You and your husband. Y'all are only there to stir up trouble. That's my opinion. That's it. That's all. That is my opinion. That is it. That is all. You are there to start shit. That's it. That's all. Right. Carlos confirmed it. And I give me shelter. I said that too earlier in the video. I said I absolutely believe what Teresa said about Melissa and Joe trying to get on the show. And Carlos can confirm that they did kind of go behind Teresa's back to get on the show, and that Teresa was blindsided by the fact that they were on the show. She did not know that they were coming on the show. I used to like Kathy until I found out she was oh well shit. That's all the more reason, child. I ain't no fan of hers, but that's definitely all the more reason for me to be like, toodles. In about 5 more minutes, I'm gonna drop the link, y'all. In about 5 more minutes, I'm gonna drop the link and I'm gonna let y'all come up, and because again, I know y'all know more than I know. Don't ruin it for me. Don't do no spoilers, but I know y'all know more than I know. So we get to this christening, and again, the first thing Melissa says is, I throw better parties than Teresa. But then we got Teresa saying, I mean, my party was packed. I mean, we had over 200 guests for my christening. I mean, I don't even think there's 100 people here. It's just empty. So both of them are being shady. Both of them are competing. Both of them are trying to one up the other one, right? They're doing it. So that's why I said I can't really take a side because they are both doing it. So Teresa says, let me go over and let me talk to my family. She feels like Joe has been ignoring her. When they were on the dance floor, she said Joe was dancing with everybody. So she went over there and when I say Joe, her brother, and she wanted her brother to, I have to say her brother, her husband. And she wanted her brother to dance with her, but he danced with everybody else except for her and just kind of had her standing there. So then when her and her husband started dancing and they went and got the baby, now all of a sudden, oh, they're just doing that for show. They just want to make it look like they're good aunts and uncles, and they're not good aunts and uncles, and they don't do nothing. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like both of them are just nauseating. Then so Teresa goes over to speak to Joe. Oh, let me put a pin in that real quick because when I get there, it'll be Joe, her brother Joe, also feels some kind of way because he feels like Teresa's husband has been turning their father against him. Telling him, oh, your son, he doesn't come and visit you. Your son doesn't come over like he should. Your son doesn't, he's always working. He's never over here. And Teresa said that she's been trying to get her brother to spend more time with their father and to visit with their father more. And Melissa's saying, well, Joe feels like, right, see, Golden, all these damn Joes and all of them fighting. But Joe, her husband Joe, Teresa's brother Joe feels like her husband Joe is turning the daddy against him and talking ish about him, and that's why his relationship with his father has fallen apart. So there's that other. That's what I say. It's so many layers to this. It's so many layers to this. Oh my God! If Teresa did not spit those kids out when they showed that picture of Teresa when she was like 10, I said that is Gia and Melania. Oh my God, it's the same person. Now I'll tell you what, Teresa made some beautiful babies, and I ain't gonna lie, she made some beautiful babies. Okay. Anyway, Teresa walks up to Melissa and Joe and says, congratulations. I know I said congratulations at the church, but I just wanted to come over and say congratulations again. By this time, Joe is drunk. Her brother Joe is drunk. And his response is, well, why are you saying that now? Why are you walking over here now? And then Melissa chimes in, yeah, why are you walking over here now? As if to insinuate the only reason why Teresa is over there is because the cameras are there. Because I know that's what they were trying to say. Oh, you're over here because you just want that camera time. Teresa was like, what? Are you kidding me right now? And Joe was like, just do what you always do. Just do what you always do. Just ignore me like you always do. Just walk away like you always do. Teresa was like, are you kidding me right now? Now, here's how I know that argument went on longer than what we saw. That moment lasted longer than what we saw because we see Teresa walk over. We see Joe tell her, do what you always do. Do what you always do. Blah, blah, blah. And Teresa is like, are you kidding me? What are you talking about? And when they cut the camera again, like when they cut to the next, frame, Gia is there pulling her mom away. So because Gia wasn't there when Teresa first walked over there. So that moment lasted long enough for Gia to come from wherever she was to come over to her mother and she was trying to pull her mother back and say, Mom, stop, let's go. Mom, just let's go. Right? So we know this moment lasted longer. So who knows what Joe said or what else Joe said in that moment. Because it was long enough for Gia to get her ass over there and get in the middle of it, okay? And as Teresa is walking away, he calls her garbage. He calls her garbage. Now, again, the scene lasted longer than what we knew, and what we saw him do was call her garbage. Teresa's husband, Joe, addresses the situation, and he wrong. Now, listen, I ain't no Joe fan, but I don't think there's any man. Now, they always want to keep talking about Italian men this and Italian men that. I don't think there's any man that would allow another grown-ass man to call his wife garbage and him not address it. And let's be clear, Joe did not, Teresa's husband, Joe, he did not lunge at the brother first. He said something to the brother, which I can't make out what he said. He said something to the brother, and then Joe, the brother, responded and lunged at him, and that's where the fight started. So somehow this became all about Joe Giudice starting a fight, and he didn't. And even if he did, in that moment, I ain't mad at him, because your drunk ass went off on your sister in front of everybody, and your parting words to her were, "You're garbage." Now listen, Phil said, remember that word garbage, it'll come back. I don't know where, what, when, and how it's going to come back. But I mean, in that moment right there, I understand why there was a fight. And Joe Giudice was supposed to check the fuck out of Joe Gorga. He was supposed to check him. He absolutely was. Because that was his wife. And you ain't going to sit here, I don't care if it's your sister, mother, cousin, uncle. You ain't about to sit here and call my wife out her name unprovoked. Because in that moment, Teresa hadn't done anything. Now, I'm not saying Teresa's an angel by any stretch of the imagination, but in that moment, Teresa hadn't done anything. And even if she did go over there for camera time, even if that was her whole purpose, was to go over there for camera time, it still didn't warrant that reaction. But here's the problem. Joe was drunk. Joe was drunk. And they were so happy to finally be on this show. They were going to cause a moment. They were going to make a scene. They were going to have a moment. They were determined. This whole episode, something was going to happen at that christening, because this whole episode was about Melissa and Joe flexing for Teresa and Joe Giudice. That whole episode. Now, they didn't expect that, but something was going to go down at that damn show. Something was going to go down. Of course, a fight happens, and it is terrible. And it was a terrible scene. The kids was crying, and Teresa's trying to get her parents out of there. They kept talking about how her father had been sick. He had heart surgery, and he's been really sick, and they were worried about the dad. And again, here's another one. The brother Joe kept talking about his father being sick, and this, and this, and this, and that. And he is literally in his father's face yelling at his father. Talking about, I'm your son. I'm your son. You let him turn you against me. And Joe was so drunk and so caught up in creating a moment and having a scene, he didn't even hear what his father was saying to him. His father said, "I've always been proud of you." And Joe was just, "I'm your son. I'm your son." And the father was like, just call him by their last name. Okay, yeah. And the father was like, "But I've always been proud of you. I love you. I've always been proud of you." And you can't even hear. And the father even said, "Are you listening to me? Are you going to let me talk, or you just want to yell?" Like the father, I mean, he's speaking in Italian, but they're translating it. And the father is saying, "Listen, let me talk." So the mama pulls Joe away. Joe's yelling he's raising his voice, and the father is like, "That's your mother. Remember that that's your mother. Like you're talking to your mother. And it was a whole mess. It was a whole mess. Right, right. His father did tell him to go cry to his mama, child. I'm sorry. As trifling as I think Joe Judice is, I don't think he did anything to turn Papa Gorga against Joe. I listen, here's my thing. We know they all grew up together. They grew up family. They're from the same, town in Italy. Teresa's first generation. Joe's family, they're immigrants. He's not well, we know he ain't an American citizen. That's why he got deported. And so I really don't think that Judice spent his time trying to turn the daddy against him. I think they just probably just naturally just spent more time together. Like I remember last season, in the first episode of last season, we saw them making their own tomato sauce. Remember, they had the kids out there, Teresa, her mom, her dad. They had a whole assembly line. They must have made 50 bottles of tomato juice. I mean, of tomato sauce, homemade tomato sauce. They were out in the garage doing it. Like, I didn't see Melissa there. I didn't see Gorga there. I didn't see their kids on that assembly line helping them get that tomato sauce together. And I'm not saying that they don't spend any time, but we've seen 2 seasons of Teresa Judice, and we have yet, I think I saw Melissa I know I saw Melissa at the christening, but we have not seen any scenes with them. Now, I'm sure it's because Teresa didn't want to film any scenes with them, but I don't see nothing. I never even, listen, if I didn't already know about Joe Gorga, I wouldn't even know that Teresa had a brother until season 3, because I don't know if she ever mentioned that man's name. In 2 seasons, I don't know if his name ever came up. We saw no less than 3 or 4 parties that Teresa threw in season 1 and 2. And that doesn't mean that they weren't there, but she ain't filmed with none of their asses. The outside rumors that people stated that Teresa has never spoken of that caused some issues in the family. Spoken of what? Oh, wait a minute. Let me roll up. Spoken. Okay, I'm about to drop the link and then I'm going to read the comments because I'm missing something. Phil talking about some stuff that I don't know what he's talking about. Hold on. They were in the back. Right, that's what I'm saying. I'm sure they were there, but I didn't see them. I have a feeling that Joe Judice was very disappointing son and over coddled because of it. He thinks everyone owes him. They should be so embarrassed that someone should have changed how they dealt with each other, but instead things got worse. Hey, Phil.
Hey, ReallyBTV, how you doing today, love?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I have been waiting on you to get to this episode since you started.
I know, because you told me, you said just skip season 1 and 2. How could you want me to skip the Danielle years? Because baby, that woman is certifiable. Okay.
Really be. So for all of us old school New Jersey watchers, this is why we have certain opinions. When I tell you your opinion is going to change over the season between these Gorgas and Judices, it's ridiculous. New Jersey.
This episode, I went back and forth in this damn episode.
It's going to change even more. It is like Real Housewives of New Jersey is, when we talk about funny, it's Atlanta. When we talk about drama, it's New Jersey. New Jersey is the most dramatic one. For some of us, like me, who is a tree hugger now, I didn't used to be a tree hugger. I didn't used to be a tree hugger, but with this episode, that's why Teresa says some of the stuff. Like Teresa is a grudge holder and she don't let nothing go. But this episode, all the things she feels and says now is because of this one episode. When she talks about Melissa's family, you can see her sisters being nasty to her.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely can see that. Yeah.
And even when she went over there and spoke to Joe and Melissa, them sisters was right there and they chimed in too. That's why it's always been beef. It's
I
always
was
been
so
beef.
shocked. Again, I've seen clips. I mean, if you watch, they found a way to show us a clip of this daggone christening. I feel like every other episode, child. I feel like every other episode. And even last season when they went to Ireland, remember when Teresa and Melissa got into that fight on the bus, and Melissa brought that shit up again and said, "Well, Gia didn't come to the christening." I was like, "Are we serious?" Gia was 10. Gia is like in college now. Are we still talking about that damn christening? I mean,
Yeah. So everyone remembers Teresa and the Real Housewives of New Jersey for the table flip, but this christening is the scene that is just the most standout scene in Real Housewives of New Jersey. Nothing else compares. Like this is like the worst fight ever. But what also I wanted to add on with the Teresa and Joe thing is it was this is what I'm talking about. It was rumors stated, and these are all alleged because Teresa has never confirmed. So when Teresa says she has protected Joe, this is what people say she's talking about. Joe had a situation in college where someone alleged he assaulted them.
mm,
And also, it was stated that Joe Gorga had lost his parents' house too.
I'd heard about that. I did hear about that.
But I think these are the things when people say, well, Teresa has always protected Joe. That's what she's talking about because she's never brought it up on the show. That's one thing Teresa has done. She's never brought up these rumors on the show.
I'm gonna say this. I believe that Teresa has a warped sense of reality sometimes, but I do believe that Teresa does believe in family and protecting family. And so I can believe that there's a lot of things that she has never said and probably would never say. I do believe that. I do believe that. And I heard about the house as well. I heard that there was some sort of deal where Joe used the house as like signed his father's name or something and then ended up losing the house. Like I did hear about that. I don't remember all the details, but I heard about that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with Caroline, so really Caroline and Dina were supposed to be the stars of the show.
Right.
But then Dina left the show and her and Caroline had their epic fallout. And they still not talking. So this show is really cursed when it comes to siblings and family.
Okay, so put a pin in that. Let's rewind that for a second. So, two things I want to say. The first thing I want to say is when Dina, from my understanding, they said Dina never really wanted to do the show, but Dina never had a storyline. So people make it seem like, oh, she walked away. I mean, they let her walk away. Let's be clear. Bravo let her walk away because her husband wouldn't film with her. She couldn't film with her daughter anymore. She quit her job, so she wasn't working. So what the hell was Dina going to do to carry this show? She didn't want to go back and forth with Danielle. So what? I mean, she had no storyline. So yeah, she technically walked away, but let's be clear, Bravo let her walk away because why would they hold on?
Because in my opinion, just one man's unpopular opinion as always, I think Dina had the look they were really going for the Real Housewives of New Jersey.
Oh, absolutely. Blonde hair, blue eyes. Yeah, because Carolyn didn't fit the mold. She was brash. She was a little thick. She was older. Teresa didn't fit the mold because Teresa, she had that very ethnic Italian look. She didn't have that, Americanized Italian look. And so, yeah, and she was a little rough around the edges. Teresa was a little rough. She still is. She's more polished now, but she was a little rough around the edges. So, no, I can agree with you 100% on that.
And then with this whole Ashley situation, Oh, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Listen, I'm sick of Ashley. I'm so sick of her. But what I was going so let's oh no, the other thing I was gonna say was so Caroline and Dina don't speak.
To this day, they do not have a relationship. And I don't even think Dina speaks to a lot of the siblings. Like, I think Caroline speaks to everybody but Dina, but I don't even know if Dina speaks with Chris, Jacqueline's husband, because that's their brother.
Right, that's their brother in real life. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know if Dina and Chris speaks. To this day, they have not spoken in years.
So did they fall out when Dina divorced the brother?
We don't know. That's the other mystery. We people speculate and we believe it's because of the brother and then what happened to Dina and her new husband, but they weren't speaking before then. We don't know. And Caroline has always stated she was open to speaking to Dina, but she kind of made it seem like Dina wasn't open to speaking to her. So it's been Jersey is crazy. It is real crazy with these situations.
I can believe that. Budget and Wade said Dina said on a podcast years ago the show was supposed to be about Dina and her friends. Caroline came on the cast after one of Dina's friends dropped out. Dolores was originally cast but dropped out. I can believe that because remember Dolores was in season one.
Yeah,
She was just but she was
the
there, but she wasn't there. She wasn't on the she was in a scene.
yeah,
So I
Dolores
definitely believe that. Yeah.
Dolores was definitely supposed to be on season one. If you really look at the episodes, Dolores is always there. You just don't notice Dolores. Dolores has been there because she grew up with Teresa and Joe as well.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Dolores, because even last season, they tried to ask. Remember when they brought up Dina because Teresa and Dina had become friends again, but now I guess they fell out. They unfollowed each other again, but they were friends again. And they asked Dolores about it, and Dolores said, "I'm not speaking on Dina." She said, "I'm not speaking about Dina." I said, "I know that's right, Dolores."
According to Dolores, her and Teresa have made a pact that they would never like really go against each other for the show. Like their friendship has been too important over the
But
years
I'm
to
glad
go
they
against
stuck
each
to it
other.
because people be making them packs all the time, and then they don't stick to it.
Yeah, but as far as the christening situation, like the Gorgas definitely started it with Teresa. Like Teresa is a dog with a bone with y'all came on the show and didn't tell me which is true, but that christening, the Gorgas started it, and when I say it goes
Really
downhill,
started it.
it goes downhill really be like I mean it gets worse over the seasons. And for some of us who've been watching from the start, like me, yeah, Teresa isn't perfect. She's not perfect, but because of how the Gorgas did her in the beginning, and now you got I'm Team Teresa. Teresa ain't perfect. Now she gonna show you some shit, cause Teresa gets low, but man, when I say that the way they came in, it's crazy. It gets crazy.
My biggest problem with Teresa, and I do know, and that's I'll be honest with you, part of the reason why I went back is because when stuff happens, y'all are always telling me, "Oh no, you don't know that this happened. Oh no, this happened. Oh no, remember the cousin." And a lot of this stuff I don't know, so my opinion is still my opinion. But I want to have the information, and so I said, "Well, I'll go back." I mean, I got a long way to go, child. I'm only in season 3, and we on season what 14. We can ready to start season 14, so I got a long way to go. But it is giving me insight that I did not have. Like I said, I didn't know nothing about the Manzos. I mean, I hadn't. I mean, even though none of them are on the show anymore, but last year when they came up, the whole Teresa and Dina being friends again, um, and then them falling out, and then Jacqueline, that text that Jacqueline, I was like, damn. So it's definitely giving me the insight, and I'm gonna be honest, y'all. That's why y'all been getting these episodes so fast because I've been like, I can't wait to watch the next episode and see what happens. I would love this is the kind of stuff that when people talk about reboots and bringing and when they talk about the kids and like next generation, I would as much as Ashley gets on my mother freaking nerves. I think Ashley will make a great villain housewife. I don't know who she is today. I don't know if she's matured or whatever, but I could definitely see Ashley absolutely running a group of women. Can you not like just who we know Ashley? What about
No,
like Dina's daughters, right?
no, we already got one. We already have one, and her name is Gia Judice.
I would listen, Gia Judy. Can you imagine a New Jersey 2.0? Let me just walk down this road with me. Just walk down this road with me. Can you imagine? And I'm not even saying reboot New Jersey because I think New Jersey still got a lot of steam in it. But can you imagine Ashley, Gia, um, Danielle's oldest, actually forget the oldest daughter, the youngest daughter, because that youngest daughter was a pistol. Danielle's youngest daughter, you let's say Christopher, maybe Christopher's wife. I don't think Albie, they say Albie getting ready to get married, but I feel like Albie is normal. But like Christopher and his wife could probably bring some drama, right? That would be a hilarious. I think that would be a great 2.0. Again, not a reboot, but let's just do like a 2.0. I would be so here for it. I would be so here for it.
You know what would make this next season of New Jersey pop? If Jacqueline was a friend to the show. I don't know if they still live in Jersey, but if Jacqueline was a friend, man, this show would be off the Richter scale.
Well, they just Jacqueline and Gia were just together at some event in Atlanta. I just saw that on the blogs on Bravo, one of those blogs I follow on Instagram, and I was like, oh, okay. So it was Gia and Jacqueline were together. So I thought that was interesting, especially but they said that Teresa and Jacqueline are cool again.
See, and that's what the Gorgas was waiting on. They thought it, man. You just got to keep watching. You got it. I ain't no spoilers, but you got to keep watching. And the last thing I'm gonna say, because I got to get back to this good government job I got. The last thing I'm gonna say is like with Teresa and her brother Joe. Like the real issue is they're literally the same people. They're the same person.
Say that again.
Teresa and her brother Joe, they're the same person. They are the same.
That's why they don't get along. Because and Carolyn said that. Carolyn was like, they're the exact same person. That's why they don't get along. Teresa, and that's what I said. My biggest problem with Teresa is Teresa's reasoning skills are ridiculous. Like in her mind, 2 + 2 is always going to be 5. And the rest of us are
it ain't 5, it's 7. It ain't no 5, it's 7.
Sitting there going, how did you get to 5? Like somebody said in the chat a few minutes ago that Teresa isn't necessarily wrong. She just never holds Joe accountable. She always attacks Melissa. But again, I think both of them have done shit to each other. Now, who's done more? I don't know. Who started it? I don't know. But neither one of them are innocent.
But I think Teresa won't come after Joe because of their parents and because she really loves family. And I think that's been the hardest thing about this show because, we know what happens to the parents and to the family and with Teresa and all the kids and stuff like that. That's the sad part because you really want them to be a family. Like, it's been fun, but literally y'all only have each other. That's it. Y'all only have each other. So y'all really should be a family. And that's why Jersey is just really sad to watch. But Teresa ain't coming off that throne, and Joe is still trying to take it over. It's like a Shakespearean novel or something like that.
Well, listen, I already gave y'all my prediction, and it hasn't changed yet. Here's my prediction, and then we're gonna get off. Because you're gonna get off, and I'm gonna get off too. Because I'm gonna go find me some dinner. But here's my prediction for the next 2 seasons, and I was right about the Real Housewives of Potomac. So I was right about my prediction for Ashley. I gave y'all Ashley and Candace's storyline for the last 3 seasons. Okay. So here's my prediction for Teresa for the Real Housewives of New Jersey. This season, first of all, Teresa overplayed her hand at the reunion when she implied that she could have Melissa fired. Because let's be real, They might have gotten rid of Melissa. But when Teresa basically told Andy she was going to fire Melissa, and Andy was like, "Let me know how that works out," I knew then. I said, "Oh, Melissa." I said, "Melissa's job is safe," because Andy was very quick to let Teresa know, "You got power, but you ain't got that much power." This season, Teresa and Melissa are going to do their best to avoid each other. They're not going to interact. They're gonna, they'll film like we just saw that they did the annual baseball game. They'll film together when they have to in group scenes, but they would do their best not to interact. Next season, we're gonna start seeing the cracks in Teresa's marriage with Louis. And in the season after that, Teresa is going to reconcile with her brother because she's going to realize exactly who Louis is, and either they're going to be going through a divorce, or Teresa is going to be realizing that that everybody wasn't lying on Louis. That's my prediction. I give it a 3-season arc. This season, we're going to get the same old, Teresa and Melissa avoiding each other. It's going to be two camps. Either you're going to be Team Melissa, or you're going to be Team Teresa, and that's how it's going to play out. But we're going to start, I think, towards the end of this season, we might start seeing some cracks in the Teresa Louis. Next season, it's going to be Teresa Louis, Teresa Louis, Teresa Louis. And then the season after that, she's going to reconcile with her brother. That's my prediction.
So I agree with your predictions. And the only reason why Melissa is still there is because of Joe. If she wasn't with Joe, she'd be gone. Because Joe really is the star.
I honestly feel like if Teresa had not overplayed her hand like that, I think Melissa might have gotten fired this season. Teresa but Teresa overplayed her hand. I was like, yeah,
they not giving up that Joe Teresa storyline. And plus, and this is another piece of the puzzle which I don't like. You add Margaret in. Once you get caught up, I want you to keep doing these panels because I have a very strong opinion about Melissa and Margaret. And but I'm so glad you're watching. But when I tell you you're gonna flip and flop and flippity flop, yo, it's gonna be a tennis match. Like I'm telling you, you're gonna be like, what? Yeah.
Well, I just had to get this off my chest, child. I'm gonna go back to maybe what I'll probably do maybe at the end of the season, do a season 3 panel. But I'm gonna come home, about to go get me some dinner, and then I'm gonna watch episode 2. Apparently, Melissa becomes a pop star, child. I cannot.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Really B. I'm glad that you're enjoying it. You have a great weekend.
You too. Thank you so much for coming up. Mwah.
Oh, one last thing, Really B. You need to do a Ready to Love panel because last night was ridiculous.
You know what? I hopped on Kamisha's panel earlier. And
I was tuned in.
Yeah, I saw you in the chat. Yeah, I can't. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna be able to do that. I can't.
All righty. Have a good night, love.
All right, y'all. I'm getting ready to get out of here so I can go find me some dinner. I don't feel like cooking, so I'm about to run down here. I think I'm gonna run down to Carolina Kitchen to give me a good old Southern meal, honey. And I will talk to y'all later. Mwah! Peace.